Welcome back to the Museum Roadshow. Today we're going to hear from former employees that worked within the First National Bank building.
I started in the bank in January of 1950, and I did insurance work first, then went to the posting, and then to proof, and then trained into the teller work. I worked full-time until the end of June of 1959, and then I subbed vacation times after that for the tellers. The building before the remodeling was the 2/3 southern part of the building. On the south side of the building, it was big windows on the bottom, and then there was little windows up on the top that we could open for air, because I mean we had 2 small air conditioners, one in the very back and one in the front entryway. That was it. And it got mighty hot in there. The building, outside of the building, was all brick.
I started working at the First National Bank in Detroit Lakes on 1960. I started right out of high school, and at that time I came in to make a deposit for my dad. Bob Lysett was cashier at that time, and he had seen me and he motioned me to come over. And I came over and he asked if I was working. I said no, and he said, do you want to start tomorrow? And I started the next day. And I was there for 26 years. And during that time I started in the bookkeeping department, and I rose through the ranks. And when I had started, in '61, they went through a big remodeling. We had the drugstore next door, which was called Klein's Drug Store. And the bank had purchased that, and we knocked out the walls and made a drive-in teller window at that time. And we were working through this. We had normally worked in the back room. I started as a bookkeeper. And during that time, they moved all of our machines down in the basement. And you have to see the basement. It was big rock basement with a cement floor. It was dark and dreary down there. And that is where we did our posting. And then they started taking out the street and the front of the bank. They were putting in the glass and doing the front of the bank. And at that time, they had large plastic over from the top going down. And being there was 3 of us that were all new, we had trouble balancing. And at that time, we stayed until we found it. If you're off a penny, you find the penny. And we were downstairs working, and it got to be like 10 o'clock at night, and we were kind of worried. All they had was, for the outside to the street, was this plastic sheet. But nothing happened to us, and I don't know how many months we were down there, but we were down there for quite a few months. Back in the 1960s, when we remodeled, we had our bookkeeping machines. They were all standing in a row here. There was 3 machines, and here's where we were working. And had the old stone wall to the north of us, and it was really crude down here. And then there was storage going straight ahead. That's where the storage was. Where's that big long hall? With this big long hall going way back, you can see the stone going way back, and there is where our storage was. There's a lot of small rooms. This is the conference room. It really looked nice down here. We had it was a board room. We had a big large table and all the plush chairs. And it went right upstairs into the main lobby of the bank. And then we had shelves. You could see the shelving that we have yet down here. And then they also added new bathrooms, a set of bathrooms here. They were for public use at that time. We had our own bathrooms in the basement on the other side. This is the vault that was used to keep the old ledger sheets. Back then we kept everything. We didn't have any microfilm. So if you wanted to find something, you went down into this vault and you went back through all the old files. And then this opened up into, this was our lunch area here. We had a kitchen area, we made coffee, we had a microwave and a fridge here. And we had a big table sitting here.
I worked in the First National Bank building on the second floor for most of the decade of the 60s. It was an old building, and there were hard tile floors out in the halls. And Mr. Benshoff, the guy I worked with, when he came down the hall on those hard tiled floors, his heels hit hard. You could hear him coming just like this. And one time, and he didn't weigh more than 145 pounds. And he had a daughter, Janet, who didn't weigh more than about 110 pounds. And I can recall her coming through the hallway one time in bare feet. And here's what it sounded like. Her heels just hit that floor just like the heels of his shoes.
When I first started working in 1973 and 1974, I was impressed right off the bat with the length of stairs that you had to walk up to get to the... This was not handicap accessible in any way. You had to be a pretty healthy person to get up all those flights of stairs. And I remember being the receptionist, of course I greeted many people as they came into our office, specifically one lady, her name was Sharon, and she was at least 9 months pregnant, ready to deliver any time, and I was convinced that she was going to deliver in our waiting room when she came up those flights of stairs. All the offices had the wonderful wood trim and the frosted glass windows and the, what are those little flip windows on the top of the high doors? Trans something, there's a funny name for them, but we had all those little click out windows on the top because there was a 12-foot ceilings. It was it was kind of chopped up there in little office spaces, and there was bathrooms, a men's and women's bathroom at down the hallway as well. A lot of handiwork, The doors, the solid wood doors with those frosted glass and the pretty design on the doorknobs and the hinges. Very, very pretty that way. Yes, very pretty that way. Solid. Some of the other functional things about the rooms I remember was, of course, there was the steam heat from the city. That's what heated the building. Not so much setting thermostats. It was more like, this is the heat you have, enjoy it. So we got a little bit warm. Kind of played havoc with the computer room that Colin had set aside. And of course, air conditioning was window air conditioners, and again, it was cool in the spot it was blowing in, but not so much. I don't remember fans, like overhead fans kind of circulating the air. You just kind of had to make your own. But again, a lot of windows that looked out. There was a lot of natural light.